الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين على مر الأيام والليالي والشهور والسنين أما بعد. As we continue the explanation of the lines of poetry by the great Imam Haafiz Al Hakamee, rahimahullah, which he titled these lines of poetry, Assubool Assaweeyah, لفقه السنن المروية. It was explained by one of his students, the great Imam, and himself is another Imam, who was a student, the great Imam Zayd ibn Hadee Madkhalee, rahimahullah, رحمة واسعة وجزاه الله عنهما وعن السنة وجزاه الله عنا وعن السنة والحق خير الجزاء. As we were discussing the lines of poetry, we just read quickly, discussing the affair of an-niyyah, and to the point where we were mentioning the matter in regards to the one who falls unconscious. There's a lines of poetry that goes on to say, وَوَاجِبُ تَبْيِيتِهِ بِاللَّيْلِ نِيَّةَ صَوْمِ الْفَرْضِ دُونَ النَّفْلِ وحيث بيان الصوم بعد أن مضى بعد النهار صامه ثم قضى ومن يكن شرط القبول فقدا أو صحة ثم به قد وجدا ككافر أثناءه قد أسلم ومثله الصغير حيث احتلم كذاك ذو وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله كذاك ذو الإغماء قبل أن يفقي أوجب عليهم صيام ما بقي. We already discussed these lines of poetry. 8:12 p.m. Thursday, April the 1st, 2021, which now is the what? 19th of Sha'ban, which is now later to Jumu'ah. It's the night of Jumu'ah, the 19th of Sha'ban, the year 1442, after the migration of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. As we can continue the lines, it says, as we discussed last class, for the affair pertaining to the niyyah, as we said every night, one should renew their niyyah, even though some of the say otherwise. See, one should renew their niyyah. Do they do it verbally? We said no. Verbally, with the tongue, by saying I intentionally, or I intend, before one goes to bed, that in the night, they say verbally, oh Allah, I intend to fast the following day. We say no. One does not verbalize it. However, the affair is places of the what? Of the heart. And also you'll find that they mentioned that for the one who stands before Fajr, or the time before Fajr comes in, that is an indication that one has made their niyyah, especially when they now indulge in the pre-dawn meal, which is called sahur, which is a clear indication that one wants to what? Wants to fast. Right. So he said, even though one should intentionally, before they go to sleep, make their intention before sleep. So if they wake up and the time of Fajr has already came in, then their fast will still be what everyone? It will still be valid. So one makes the intention. And let's just say he missed the time for sahur, for the pre-dawn meal, to eat it, and he had woke up for the time of Fajr, he already made his intention. Then, like we mentioned, it said his fast is still what everyone, still valid, even though he did not eat the pre-dawn meal. But one should now, like we said, make their intention, and if they wake up late, then their fast will still be valid, even though that day might be a little bit difficult upon them, based upon the fact that they did not eat the pre-dawn meal called sahur. But so he says it's obligatory for one to make the intention at night before they go to sleep. For in regards to the obligatory what? The obligatory fast, such as Ramadan and such as whatever you want. Another, taking an oath is also obligatory, and al-kafarat. And also the fasting of the expiations for certain affairs such as breaking your what? Breaking your oath or breaking what you swore by. Go to the end of it. Those type of fasts, one has to make the intention in the night before they go to sleep in regards to the obligatory fast, which we did already discuss last night. But let's get to the last part because we already discussed this. It says, وَكَذَاكَ ذُو الْإِغْمَاءِ قُلْ إِن يَفِقِ أَوْجَبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الصِّيَامَ مَا بَقِي. He says, such as the one who's rendered unconscious, who's rendered in a state of unconsciousness or when he fell into a coma, or what have you. Falls into a coma, he's out for some days or some weeks. Or if he was rendered unconscious momentarily, قُلْ إِن يَفِقِ أَوْجَبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الصِّيَامَ مَا بَقِي, in which you will find that they made it a binding upon him to fast. Meaning, it is better for them to what? To make it up after the month. Let's just say it's a medical condition. If a person now is rendered unconscious due to that medical condition, then do they have to continue to fast if they were revived? We said what? No, he doesn't. Especially if it's an affair pertaining to one being what? Sick, or they have an ailment, or what have you. If that's the case, they will what? Break the fast and then make it up after the month of Ramadan. Make it up after the month of Ramadan. طيب. Notice he continues the poetry. He says, let's get into the affair where he speaks about السحور. He says, وَالْفِطْرُ وَالسَّحُورُ فِيهِمَا أَتَى فَضْلٌ عَنِ الرَّسُولِ نَصًّا ثَبَتًا قَوْلًا وَفِعْلًا آمِرًا مرغبا فَلَا تَكُنْ عَمَّ ارْتَضَاهُ راغبا ثم السحور صح ما الليل بقي وفات بانشقاق فجر صادق وبالغروب الفطر حل فاعلمي ولا تؤخر لظهور الأنجم وسن في الإفطار أن يعجل وأخر السحور نصا أنجلا. We said the poetry. Now he's going on to the new one. So we talked about the affairs pertaining to what everyone, the niyyah. That in regards to the obligatory fast, one should make their what? Intention in the night. They should make their intention when? Before they close their eyes and sleep. They should make their intention. It's places of the heart. Like we said, one does not verbalize it. I mean, it doesn't say it. Fine. In those affairs, after we now concluded that, and we also discussed about last night, and I hope everyone heard the details that I gave yet last night, in regards to the one who braces Islam, in regards to the one that they have now ended the reason of why they don't have to fast in the month of Ramadan due to them either traveling or sick or for example, a woman become purified from her mens during the day of Ramadan, or a person becoming cured from their sickness during the day of Ramadan, or a person that finished their travels during the day of Ramadan. Those people, do they have to now abstain from food and drink the rest of their day, even though the permit for why they left off fasting is over? What did we say? We said it's permissible for them to what? Eat and drink. Take into consideration of those who are what? Around you. We said in regards to the one who embraces Islam, then what? Then we would say that that individual will what? He will fast. The person who embraces Islam during the day. Or the child has reached the age of what? Puberty. Puberty happens by how many signs, everyone? One of the three signs. One of them is what? By the hair around the private part. That's one. Number two, either by a wet dream. Number three, if they have reached the age where they've completed 15. However, it's not a prerequisite. If those signs have appeared before that, then they have to now carry out those duties. So it's not a prerequisite that you wait to that particular age. It's not. Is it clear, everyone? And if you want to add on the fourth sign, which is for the women, a woman's mens. As soon as a woman has her mens, she's a woman. No matter what the non-Muslims say. And from what has reached me now, they're trying to now legalize pedophilia. Yes. Because they know that Islam is the truth. So they outlawed all this nonsense just for them to now make it legal, right? Anyway, that's the time for another story. for another day. But anyway, once and now a woman gets her mens, she's a woman. She's a woman. And it's binding upon her now to what? It's binding upon her to what? Fast. But if a woman becomes pure during the day, does she have to now complete her fast? For the rest of that day, she becomes purified from her mens. Let's just say the time of Asr. My mens is now off. So, do I have to fast the remaining of the day? We say no. She does not have to fast. She could complete her day eating food and indulging in drinking and enjoying the rest of her day. However, it's binding upon her to make it up after the month of Ramadan. Is it clear, everyone? But as far as the pregnant and the breastfeeding woman, that is a long mas'ala in which we'll maybe discuss later on, as the adillah, as they say, in that particular mas'ala is mutajadiba. They pull each other. As you'll find that what the great Imam al-Bani would mention the same, based upon the narration of Ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Umar, that they would feed and that would suffice. That matter we'll discuss in its time. So those are the affairs that we covered, right, everyone? So you'll find that the great Imam, Haafiz Al Hakamee, that he said, like the kafir that embraced Islam during the day, and the young child, whereas he had a wet dream. We already discussed those details, right, everyone? And the one who's rendered unconscious, ذو الإغماء, حيث يصبح الرجل مغمى عليه. مغمى عليه بمعنى أنه صار في الغيبوبة. مغمى عليه means he's unconscious. He's unconscious. And yafiqi, or afaqa yufiqu yufiqi, or afaqa yufiqu means to be now, come or revive yourself or come back to a state of consciousness. So those are affairs we already discussed in the lines of poetry. Let's go on to the next because time is moving very fast. So next, وَالْفِطْرُ وَالسَّحُورُ فِيهِمَا أَتَى فَضْلٌ عَنِ الرَّسُولِ نَصًّا ثَبَتًا. Now we're discussing the affair of the time when one breaks the fast. And from the affairs in which we'll find that the great Ai also gave great regards to these matters and how important they are during the month. They're not just affairs that are considered not that serious. Rather, they are very serious. To the point where you'll find that even the great Imam Haafiz Al Hakamee, that he even gave lines of poetry discussing this matter. And also emphasizing its importance here, where he said, وَالْفِطْرُ وَالسَّحُورُ فِيهِمَا أَتَى فَضْلٌ عَنِ الرَّسُولِ نَصًّا ثَبَتًا. He said now, discussing the affair of when one breaks the fast. You know that one breaks the fast at the time what? When the sun sets. And that one should not wait for the stars to appear to when they break the fast. That's not from the affair of Islam. That is the affair of the Jews and the Christians and the Shia. And the Shia was started by the Jews. And that's who they follow. In the Rawafid, you'll find that they follow the Jews because the Jews are the ones who actually started them. But anyway, it says in which is pertaining to this matter, it says, وَالْفِطْرُ وَالسَّحُورُ فِيهِمَا أَتَى. Fairly, the time for one breaking their fast, to hasten towards doing it. Once the time has now been established, where the sun has set, then one has concluded their fasting for that day. They hasten to what? Break it. As it says in this poetry, right, everyone? They hasten towards what? Breaking it. That is not from Ahl Sunnah, where we put it off for a long period of time until the stars appear clearly in the sky. He says, and also from these signs of what we also practice, which is in agreement with the Sunnah, is to put off suhoor, meaning close to the time of Fajr, to take one's pre-dawn meal. That from the affairs of the people of Sunnah, is they try to make it as close as they can for the time of Fajr, as much as they can. Half an hour to maybe 45 minutes. And he was even discussing the hadith of Anas, where it said, كم قدر بين أخذ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم السحور وإقام الصلاة أو الصلاة وقال قدر 50 آية قدر 50 آية كما جاء في البخاري. Talk about that in a minute. But at any rate, the affairs pertaining to the pre-dawn meal. How much time? They said, in which the Messenger of Allah used to eat his sahur all the way up from the time to Fajr. And he said, of what you will read of in Surah Al-Baqarah of 50 ayat, which is to give you enough ample time or enough adequate time to one, eating their sahur until they start their fast, which is approximately, varies from maybe a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes or what have you. But the time should be put close as much as possible, because you'll find there are Muslims that they'll what? Wake up for sahur 2 hours before Fajr and eat sahur 2 hours before Fajr, or 3 hours before Fajr, or 4 hours before Fajr. And some of them will say we don't even need sahur, where this affair of sahur is very important. A lot of people don't know how important it is. It is very important. We're going to bring the narrations explaining why right now. However, you'll find that there are certain countries they'll eat sahur maybe 2 hours before Fajr. That's not from the Sunnah. The Sunnah is to push it close to Fajr as close as possible, whether it be 40 minutes, maybe like we said an hour, or whatever is in that comfortable room or that particular time frame where it's been facilitated for you, where it's close to Fajr as much as one's able. It'll be an hour to maybe 40 to 30 minutes, or what have you. That is the Sunnah. So, the pre-dawn meal is taken close to Fajr, and the time for breaking one's fast, which is the time when the sun sets, then one hastens to what? To break it. And that's the narrations of which we're going to talk about, discuss right now. But as far as in those particular matters, notice he says in the poetry, what does it say, everyone? So, فَضْلٌ عَلَى الرَّسُولِ نَصًّا ثَبَتًا. Virtue that's been upon our messenger, text establishing this, verbally and application-wise. You'll find that the Messenger of Allah what? Commanded and aroused the people's desire to what? Adhere to it. He said, for do not be from those who the Messenger of Allah is pleased with, meaning that particular matter, desiring something else. فَلَا تَكُنْ عَمَّ ارْتَضَاهُ رَاغِبًا. Don't desire something else of what he was pleased with. He said, ثُمَّ السَّحُورُ صَحَّبَ مَا اللَّيْلِ بَقِي وَفَاتَ بِالْشِقَاقِ فَجْرِ صَادِقِ. Then he tells you that suhoor of what has now been established from the night, what is remaining of what he said, where it starts by the time of the Fajr al-Sadiq, the true Fajr, which is the time for the Salat al-Fajr. Because we know in the Muslim lands, there are usually two adhans. About maybe at 40 minutes to an hour, there'll be the first adhan, which is what they call the Fajr al-Kadhib, which is called the Fajr that is not true, or the Fajr that is not true, just to get the people up, maybe for suhoor, or get the people up for witr, or to get the people up for tahajjud. It's like an hour before Fajr. Then you have the second Fajr, as we said, in regards to when the actual time for Fajr comes in. Those affairs is when, like we said, the time before the second Fajr is when one now starts his pre-dawn meal, which is called sahur. He said, for bil ghurubi, I'm sorry everyone, he said, but that's the reason why he called it the Fajr al-Sadiq. He said, وَفْهَاتَ مِنْ شِقَاقِ فَجْرٍ صَادِقِ وَبِالْغُلُوبِ الْفِطْرُ حَلَّ فَاعْلَمِي وَلَا تُأَخَّرُوا لِظُهُورِ الْأَنْجُمِ. He says, now he's talking about discussing the affair when one breaks and concludes the fast for that day, in which affairs become lawful for him of food and drink and the likes of that. Have knowledge, and he said, do not put it off when the stars start to what? Manifest or become clear in the sky. Do not do that. وَالسُّنَّةِ فِي الْإِفْطَارِ أَن يُعَجَّلَ. It's been established in the authentic sunnah, as far as when breaking a fast, to hasten it, and to put the suhoor close to the time of Fajr, as which the texts have clarified. Fine. So in this regards now, we're discussing about the virtues of a suhoor. From those narrations, there's a lot of them. When it comes to the authority of Anas ibn Malik, radiyallahu anhu, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة, which is in Bukhari, Muslim, in the Sahihain. He says, eat the pre-dawn meal, for verily in it is blessing. Verily in it is blessing. So that's number one. Number two, the affair pertaining to establishing the furqan of distinguishes between truth and falsehood. Also is from following the sunnah, or adhering to this sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Where you find it says when you find Abdur bin As radiallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam said, establishing the furqan, what distinguishes us between the people, us and the people of the book. Where he said alayhi salatu wasalam, which is in Muslim and other than them, فَصْلُ مَا بَيْنَ صِيَامِنَا وَصِيَامِ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ أَكْلَةُ السَّحْرِ. He said the affair that distinguishes us between our fasting and the fasting of the people of the book is eating the pre-dawn meal. Aklatu sahri is eating the pre-dawn meal. So notice that the Messenger of Allah encouraged us in our affairs of worship to oppose those who what? Those who are from the people of the book, based upon the wrath of Allah fell on some of them, meaning the Yahud. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as being astray, who are from the Christians, in which we have been commanded to oppose them and be in opposition, because in their fasting, meaning of course the Jews and the Christians, they used to put it off. And what will distinguish us in regards to our fast, of now allowing our bodies to physically be able to carry out certain affairs during the day. From those matters that will aid one upon that is what? Eating the pre-dawn meal. And that affair within it is opposing the Jews and the Christians, which is what? Establishing the furqan, which distinguishes between truth and falsehood, by eating the pre-dawn meal. So that's another thing. Then the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam said in another narration, when he thought he Salman al-Farisi, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم البركة في ثلاثة في الجماعة والثريد والسحور. He said blessing is in three. In the jama'ah, and the jama'ah can be the congregational prayer, and it can also be adhering to the united body of the Muslims, of course, in a particular community or land. It can be meant for both. والثريد. The tharid is like the sauce from the meat when it's cooked. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, As-sahur, the pre-dawn meal. So the Messenger of Allah has affirmed that the pre-dawn meal has what? Has in it blessings from Allah, in which Allah will put in it in order for one to be what? Able to carry out their daily affairs with more ease while they're fasting. So the affair of eating the pre-dawn meal, Allah has put that type of barakah, which some of al-ilm discuss, of the type of benefits of why the Messenger of Allah said in it that it contains whatever you want, barakah, where it contains barakah and benefit. Barakah, blessings, and fawaid, which is of benefits, is strengthening one physically to carry out their daily affairs even though they're in the state of fasting. There's also another narration which is something else, which puts emphasis on this affair. On the authority of Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, all these narrations are authentic. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على المتسحرين. Verily Allah and His angels, that they make salah upon those who eat the pre-dawn meal. What is the meaning of salah? Salah, meaning with Allah praising the people of the earth with the angels, meaning praising them. And as far as with the angels is what do we want? The meaning of salah is that they make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't mean that Allah makes salah, meaning make dua for them, no. What it means is that Allah praises them with the mala'ul a'la, that Allah praises the people who eat the pre-dawn meal with the angels. It's the meaning of salah in regards to our Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. In regards to the malaika, means that the malaika supplicate to Allah for those who eat the pre-dawn meal. And all these narrations have been authenticated by the great Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah. So that's another narration which has been collected in Tabarani. It says, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala mutasahhirin. Verily Allah and the angels, that the salah is made upon the mutasahhirin, in light of the details we just mentioned of the meaning of salah. Another narration On the authority of Al-Irbad al-Sariyah radiyallahu anhu, قال دعاني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى السحور في رمضان فقال هلم إلى الغذاء المبارك. With the message of Allah, it says on the authority of Al-Irbad al-Sariyah, the great Sahabi, he said, the message of Allah invited me to eat suhoor with him during Ramadan. He said, come to a blessed meal. Halumma ila al-ghidha al-mubarak. He said, come join me in a blessed meal. Come join me in a blessed meal. Halumma ila al-ghidha al-mubarak. There's another narration on the authority of Abu Darda, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it is a blessed meal. Wal al-ghidha al-mubarak. It is a blessed meal. There's another narration on the authority of Abdullah ibn al-Harith, upon a man from the companions of the Messenger of Allah said, دخلت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو يتسحر فقال إنها بركة أعطاكم الله إياها فلا تدعوه. He said, most definitely, he said, I entered upon the Messenger of Allah and he was eating the pre-dawn meal. And he said, most definitely it is blessing that Allah has given you. Do not leave it off. فَلَا تَدْعُوا. Don't leave it off. Do not abandon it. You'll find that there are people out there that will abandon it on purpose. It's not a big deal, it's just a sunnah. It's something that's very important. And it will aid you and it will give you strength to your body. And how many of those who have been Muslim for years have eaten sahur and it makes the fast very, very easy for the rest of the day? In which you'll find that all of us have experienced, even though we're not like Salih al-Maghamisi, who I like to say, and Hadee Amrul Mujahid. This is the affair that everyone experiences. But alhamdulillah, for those who upon the sunnah have seen what the Messenger of Allah has said is what is true. How many of us have ate the pre-dawn meal and our fast during the day was what? A whole lot easier. And then if you missed it, it was somewhat difficult. Somewhat difficult. You become a little lax and a little lethargic, lazy, a little bit sluggish during the day. Some of us pass out and put them to sleep in severe exhaustion. But for the most part, for those who have followed this particular sunnah and adhere to it, you'll find that the fast during the day is very It's easier. It's a whole lot easier. So you see these narrations, the importance of why the Messenger of Allah had established this affair of being something very important and essential to one practicing their fasting, especially during the days of Ramadan, to eat the pre-dawn meal so it can be easier. There's another narration upon Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم السحور كله بركة ولو أن يجرع أحدكم جرعة من ماء فإن الله وملائكته يصلون على المتسحرين. He said that sahur, all of it is blessing. Do not leave it off. Even if one of you was to drink a sip of water. وَلَوْ أَنْ يَجْرَعَ أَحَدُكُمْ جُرْعَةً مِّن مَاءٍ. Even if one of you was to drink a sip of water. For verily Allah and His angels, they send a salah upon the mutasahhirin. Like we also mentioned the meaning of salah here in regards to Allah and in regards to the angels. Fine. And also from the affairs of sahur is eating tamr for the pre-dawn meal. As it comes in the narration of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah mentioned said, نِعْمَ السَّحُورِ الْمُؤْمِنِ التَّمْرُ. He said from the best of the pre-dawn meal for a mu'min is at-tamr, which is eating dates. Fine. All the affairs of what time is this? What time's it come in?
A couple minutes.
Ah, gee. Fine. So all these affairs we're discussing now. Oh, we already discussed that. You'll find that in the poetry of the great Imam Haafiz Al Hakamee, that he notice he mentioned, said, ثم السحور صحم الليل بقي وفات بانشقاق فجر صادقي. He said, the suhoor, that what has now become, why did they put that there? I don't know. Now, he said from suhoor, and what has been established from the night, and what is remaining, meaning right before the time of Fajr. He says, and what a person would miss once the time of Fajr comes in. Then he said, from bil ghurub, when the sun completely sets and the time for fasting is over, then things become halal. Affairs become lawful after they were what, everyone? Unlawful during the day. For eating and drinking, as we talked about before, without a legitimate excuse from Kitab and Sunnah, for one to break their fast by, is considered from the major sins. It's considered from the major sins. In which I'll discuss the narration in which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ had talked about those who will be tortured in hell for breaking their fast without a due excuse from the Kitab and Sunnah. In which the great Imam Al-Albani had authenticated about the two angels. Which I'll discuss inshallah. We call the event now. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Shadu la ilaha illallah. No lecture like powder? No lecture like powder today? Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. You know how many of those I took today?
8.
Really?
I want to know, right?
I do not, 8 out here. Come on.
How about you?
4.
I had 2.
I have 4 scoops today.
I took 2 scoops today.
I had 4 scoops of that stuff today.
That's this morning. What's the class?
I ate like 4. About 4 scoops. Burned through those electrolytes easily. Especially if you use mental brain work. A lot of people don't know it's like physical. ATP is not just for physical, it's also for mental. Adenosine triphosphate. Your body makes it for physical labor and it makes it for mental labor. A lot of people don't know that. That's why you never notice when you read long, you start feeling tired. You feel like if you ever read, you know, like this. That's because you've been putting a lot of mental energy in. That's ATP. Adenosine triphosphate is also for the brain. It's also for the brain. Fine. Anyway, so what was saying? Where was it stop at? Hey, so for things have become halal. Notice in the poetry it says, وَبِالْغُرُوبِ الْفِطْرُ حَلَّ فَاعْلَمِي وَلَا تُؤَخَّرُ لِظُهُورِ الْأَنْجُمِ. For the sun setting, fitr has started, meaning one breaking their fast. Things have now become what? Lawful, such as food, drink, also on intimacy with their spouse. All those affairs have become halal after Maghrib. After they have become what? Notice it says hal, which would necessitate that before that, all of those affairs were what? All of them are haram. All of them are unlawful. For eating, indulging in food and drink, without a legitimate excuse that has been established in Kitab and Sunnah, for one to excuse themselves from fasting for that particular day, if they do not have that excuse, for now, leaving off or abandoning fasting during the month of Ramadan or those days are considered from the major sins. It's considered from the kaba'ir. And that narration that we have, don't worry, it will come. I haven't memorized, I just don't feel like saying it right now. Anyway, in regards to what the Messenger of Allah said in that narration, he said, فَجَاءَنِي مَلَكَانِ فَأَخَذَ بِضَبْعِي فقال لي اصعد فقال إني لا أطيق قال إنا سنسهله لك فصعدت حتى إذا كنت في سواء الجبل فإذا أصوات شديدة فقال ما هذه الأصوات قال هي عواء أهل النار ثم قالوا انطلق. Anyway, for what we just mentioned, it said, we'll talk about that later. And what the Messenger of Allah والسلام, or what the great Imam that he mentioned said was halal, which is eating of food and drink after what? Maghrib. We talked about the tadarruj, the affairs of how this was a gradual process. As we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that we said the affair of fasting was upon degrees, was upon steps and stages. The first stage was the obligation of fasting the 10th of Muharram, which is called Yawm Ashura. That was obligatory. We talked about this, right? Then we said after Yawm Ashura, then the month of Ramadan was established, where in that stage it was upon takhyir. One had the choice. He had the choice to either what? Fast or to leave it off, or to abandon it. Then there became a stage where it was a little what? Stringent. It was a little hard. It was a hardship in it. For example, fasting started after Al-Isha, all the way up to Maghrib. Started after Al-Isha. And the hadith of Sirma ibn Qais al-Ansari. All you have to do is look it up. Hadith Sirma ibn Qais al-Ansari. All you have to look, if you want to look at your research, put khaybat al-lak, what his wife said to him. He said during the time of the Messenger of Allah, where there was a period of time, Ramadan, where fasting started after Al-Isha until when? Maghrib. One could eat and drink and be intimate with their spouse after what? Maghrib till Isha. That was it. And it was a condition. It was conditional. After Maghrib, you could not sleep. If you fell asleep, the affairs became haram upon you. Yes. So, the affair when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the final affair of what we do today was due to that great Sahabi, Sirma ibn Qais al-Ansari. Sirma ibn Qais al-Ansari. We said he used to work in his garden. So he was very tired. So he came to his wife after the time of Maghrib had entered. So he entered upon his wife. He said, do you what? Do you have anything to eat? She said, no, I'll go seek it out for you. So أطلبه لك. So she sought it out to bring food. She came and entered upon Sirma. فَوَجَدَهُ نَائِمًا فَغَلَبَتْ عَيْنًا. His eyes overcame him and he fell asleep. So his wife said to him, خَيْبَةً لَكَ. Nimt. She said, you messed yourself up. You fell asleep. Now since you fell asleep, you have to fast now to Maghrib to the next day. Starting right now, since you fell asleep. So then in the garden, as we know, he was in there, he was working in his garden. Again. Until he passed out. فغشي عليه ثم نزل قول الله تبارك وتعالى علم الله أنكم excuse me, I'm sorry everyone. أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن علم الله أنكم كنتم تختانون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم وعفى عنكم فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشروهن وأنتم عاكفون من تلام الآية. Allah Ta'ala did send down that ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, where it said, it has now become lawful for you al-rafath. Al-rafath here meaning what? Intercourse or intimacy with your wives after Maghrib all the way up to Fajr. They are covering for you and you are covering for them. That Allah knows and has knowledge what you were doing. Because some of the ahadith said that what happened to some of the Sahaba, that they fell into intercourse after al-Isha. He said, عَلِمَ اللَّهُ أَنَّكُمْ كُنْتُمْ تَخْتَانُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ فَتَابَ عَلَيْكُمْ وَعَفَى عَنْكُمْ. That Allah knows that you were what you were doing. And He has what? He has accepted your repentance and He has forgiven you. For now, go to them and seek what Allah has made for you as what? Of what He has prescribed or has written for you of a sustenance, meaning of a child. Why? فَالْآنَ بَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَابْتَغُوا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. To the end of the ayah. Right. So those are the affairs in which the ayah was sent down based upon what happened with Sulaiman ibn Qais. There's another narration where Ibn Kathir mentioned why the ayah was sent down due to some of the Sahaba that had fell into what? Intercourse after what? After those times were set for them not to. Like we said, after Maghrib, if they fell asleep, they couldn't be intimate. Or after what? Al-Isha. And some of them fell into having intercourse after Al-Isha. And they said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, I fell into this," until other than them from the ulama of tafsir said that was the reason why the ayat was revealed. But we say that all of them could have been the reasons for why the ayat was revealed, because it says clearly, Allah knows what you were what? Doing. And He accepted your tawbah and He what? Pardoned you. So what did they do? They was having intercourse. When they were supposed to what? They were supposed to start their fast. After when? Al-Isha. So those are the affairs to show how Allah Ta'ala bestowed His what? His rahmah upon the ummah, in which the affair became of what we see what? Is what we see now. Fine. So all those matters which you find, I forgot to speak about the affair pertaining to fitr. Fine. You'll find that the Prophet ﷺ in the authentic narrations showing the virtues of those who take or those who eat the pre-dawn meal. What about the virtues about those who hasten towards the fast? The Messenger of Allah also made that a sign for one, actualizing the furqan, actualizing what distinguishes us between truth and falsehood, and the people of truth and the people of falsehood. From those signs which the Messenger of Allah said, we talked about the affair of the pre-dawn meal. But the Messenger of Allah clearly said, فَصُلْ مَا بَيْنَ صِيَامِنَا وَصِيَامِ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ أَكَدَةُ السَّحَبِ. Right, everyone? We just mentioned that. That which distinguishes us between our fasting and the fasting of the people of the book is what? Eating the pre-dawn meal. Fine. What about now? Hastening towards fasting, breaking it. Hastening towards breaking it. What is from those affairs which the Messenger of Allah also says something tremendous? Well, one of those narrations it says, لا يزال الدين ظاهرا ما عجل الناس الفطر لأن اليهود والنصارى يؤخرونه. The Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, he said that the religion of Islam will never cease to be what? Zahir. Will never cease to be what? Strong and apparent. As long as the people, meaning the Muslims, hasten to break in their fast. Because the Jews and the Christians, they put it off. So the Messenger of Allah said that the religion continue to be what? Zahira. There's another narration where it says, لا تزال أمتي على سنتي. There's another narration where the Messenger of Allah said, لا تزال أمتي بخير ما عجل الفطر وأخروا السحور. It says that my ummah will never cease to be upon my sunnah, in one narration, as long as they do not wait by breaking their fast the stars to what? To appear. So that's one narration. لا تزال أمتي على سنتي ما لم تنتظر بفطرها النجوم. He says that my ummah will never cease to be upon my sunnah as long as they do not wait by breaking their fast the stars to be clearly what? In the sky. And then another narration where it says that my ummah will never cease to be upon goodness, upon khayriyah. ما أخر السحور وعجل الفطر. They will, as long as they continue to what? Put off the pre-dawn meal close to the time for as much as possible, and hasten towards what? Jayyid. طيب. So the message of Allah based upon all these matters to tell one to what? Hasten towards these affairs because they are very virtuous. And they also now bring for the ummah that khayriyah, that goodness or that righteousness, and the sign that they're still upon uprightness in regards to following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's not just an affair of, it's not that big of a deal to the end of it. If we make it, it's not a big deal. Why are you taking it that serious? It's an affair that distinguishes us between the people of the book and those who are in clear opposition of the truth. So that affair, one will what? Attain a great reward with Allah Ta'ala, which the great Imam, Shaykh Zayd, even said that. In regards to these affairs, he said, for example, اتباع سنة النبي وإحياؤها وكفى بذلك بركة وفضلها. He said, for what we extract from these narrations, from its benefits, is following the sunnah of our Messenger ﷺ and reviving it, giving it life again, after those who have left it off or abandoned it. He said, that suffice for us as a blessing and a virtue. So that's one benefit. Another benefit, he said, التقوي بأكلة السحور على القيام بوظائف النهار بارتياح ونشاط. He said that one, strengthening by eating the pre-dawn meal upon carrying out the daily affairs during the day in a manner that is easy, relaxing, and one can still be active. And also repelling of what causes hunger and what will emanate from that hunger as a result of that feeling, which is of bad mannerisms. And one being lethargic, and bad manners and bad mannerisms that might emanate as a result of one feeling very what? Hungry, and which one tries to avoid when he's carrying out his daily affairs. And how many people know this? And when they're hungry, they're usually what? Moody. And when they're moody, they usually what? Have bad manners. And we have been commanded to what? Perfect our character. In which a lot of people, I don't know why, and I have no idea where the Muslims get that perfecting one's character is not that important. I don't know where they get that from. I have no idea. Pipe. And it stuns me to say, perfecting your character is not that big of a deal. And we know that there are these tremendous, profound statement that the great Imam Al-Albani mentioned this. I think everyone's familiar with it. Where he said that it used to be, I used to think that the problem with the ummah of the Muslim, or the ummah, is that it is aqidah. Which he said, which is true. He said, but now it's become clear to me that not only is the problem is aqidah, but also bad manners and bad character. And he said that the truth is heavy upon the people. Do not make it even more heavier with your bad manners. Do not make it more heavier with your bad manners. And we also know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is collected in Sahih Al-Jami', but the Imam Al-Albani also authenticated, where he said, when the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, أنا زعيم بيت في ربض الجنة لمن ترك المراء وإن كان محقا وببيت في وسط الجنة لمن ترك الكذب وإن كان مازحا وبيتا في أعلى الجنة لمن حسن خلقه. I am the guarantee the house in the outskirts of paradise for the one who abandons arguing even if they're right. Alright? Who abandons argumentation even if they're right. And a house in the middle of paradise who leaves off lying even if he's joking. وَمَنْ تَرَكَ الْكَذِبْ وَإِنْ كَانَ مَازِحًا. He leaves off lying even if he's joking. And a house in the highest levels of paradise who perfects their character. It's not that important? Well, it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِمَعَالِ الْأَخْلَاقِ وَيَنْهَى عَنْ سَفْسَافِهَا. Too many narrations. It's not the time to talk about good manners. But at any rate, what the great Imam Shaykh Zayd ibn Hadee Madkhalee, rahimahullah, that he said that from the benefits of eating the pre-dawn meal He said, of what will repel, of what hunger will cause, of, as a result of it, whatever you want, bad manners or bad behavior. Because usually when one is hungry, they're whatever you want, they're moody. Especially here in America. If you take away food, oh boy. They really get moody. Bad manners during the day. When they have to what? Indulge in the affairs of dealing with the people. Especially throughout their daily matters amongst the society. So that will be what? That will be an aid to repel them. That repel them. And also from its benefits is what everyone, in opposition to the people of the book. For verily, they do not used to attain or they used to indulge in the pre-dawn meal, nor they used to hasten to breaking their fast, of course. Or what has been legislated for the Muslims to be in opposition against them in these affairs. Because opposition of the Jews and the Christians is a qurbah from the qurbat. It's an affair that will bring you close to Allah. And a lot of people don't know that. Being in opposition of the people of the book is an affair that's considered the qurbat. Opposing the people of the book is considered what everyone? An affair that will draw you close to Allah. Put it with that. And Allah and His angels, they mention those who indulge in these tremendous, lofty matters. The pre-dawn meal and hasten towards the fast, especially the pre-dawn meal, in which Allah praises those who eat the pre-dawn meal. And Allah mentions them with the angels. And the angels also supplicate for them and praise them. So those affairs are very what? Tremendous. In which we need to enlighten ourselves so we can what? Adhere to these matters so during that month we can attain the full benefits. Especially during that time in which we see passing by us very expeditiously. The time now in front of us. It's just going by a blink of an eye. So those times in which we now take the initiative to attain these benefits and enlighten those affairs so it can be based upon insight, which is knowledge, and then we can hasten towards what? Practicing it. And encourage others to do so. And at the same time, we obtain the reward of them and the reward of what they practice of following the sunnah. Fine. So those affairs in which we mentioned, now, we talked about, what does it say in the next part of the poetry? Now, he says, وَسُنَّ فِطْرُهُ عَلَى التَّمْرِ إِذَا كَانَ إِلَّا الْمَاءَ طَهُورٌ فَخُذَا وَسُنَّ فِي الْفِطْرِ الدُّعَاءُ بِمَا وَرَدَ إِذْ دَعْوَةُ الصَّائِمِ فِيهِ لَا تُرَدْ. He said, what is now been a sunnah for when one breaks his fast, which to let us know how complete our religion is. So not only do we have the times of what we're supposed to do and what will aid us to make the fast facilitated, and then what is from those clear established practices and prophetic sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ, or what he encouraged the ummah to eat and what he used to eat. From those affairs, when he used to break his fast, he would encourage them to break it upon a tamr. In actuality, what the hadith, it says to break it upon rutab, which is a type of very soft, moist date, in which you'll find in the countries in the Middle East, it was stored in the freezer. It's stored in the freezer. It's like a soft date. It's like a premature date to a certain extent. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? It's like a premature date, meaning it has not reached its ripeness, a stage where it becomes very ripe. It's in a stage where it's soft, very, very soft, to the point it has to be frozen, or refrigerated or frozen. Most cases it's frozen. That is the established sunnah. Where the Prophet ﷺ, he commanded that it be broken upon rutab, upon the muslim. If it's not upon rutab, then he said what? The date. And if it's not upon the date, then what? Then upon hasawatin min ma'. He used to drink sips of water. Hasawatin min ma'. He would sip sips of water. And he also commanded that what? One do that. He said, for verily water is pure. For verily water is pure. This is what I keep emphasizing for people to observe this sunnah. You'll find that Ahl-Ilm highly encourage this. They say when you break your fast, The body it's a gradual process. You cannot now overload the intestines with all types of serious type of foods during the day while one is fasting until the point where you will render yourself sick and you will render yourself lethargic and tired if you break your fast upon regular food. That's the reason why the Messenger of Allah, out of his hikmah, of which Allah revealed to the Messenger of Allah to break your fast upon eating dates. Based upon the fact that it will what? It will coat the stomach and it will restore the levels of sugar and what? And if you people want to get inside of the health benefits of what dates contain of magnesium and potassium, which is clearly for what? Hydration in the body. Because dates is from those foods that has the highest form of those minerals. And everyone knows that hydration consists of not just drinking water, but having all the minerals in it, which I've always teach everyone inside of what? Health class. Which is potassium, magnesium, sea salt, chloride. Chloride is also from electrolyte. Magnesium, potassium, chloride, sea salt, and calcium. That's all considered electrolytes, in which 80% of the population are deficient in. That's the reason why they have high blood pressure. That's the reason why they get cramps, and that's why they feel lethargic during the day. And a good source of those 5 things I just mentioned is all in dates, which helps balance out your what? Electrolytes, which is considered hydration. That's the reason why those who follow this sunnah, they have energy to pray Taraweeh, and they're not in their house snoring after Isha. Majority of the people that eat, when they want to break their fast, they break it on Doritos, sodas, Hershey bars, and the likes of that. You'll find that when it's time for us to get up to pray Isha, where are they? Somewhere snoring and sleeping. I'm serious, it's the truth. You see you breaking your fast, as soon as you want to break your fast upon hoagies, sandwiches, sodas, juices, to the end of it, well, you ready to go? It's time to pray Isha, we want to pray Taraweeh. Oh, I'm tired, Here comes the one feeling lethargic. Why? Because you didn't break your fast proper. And even if you want to go by the non-Muslims, in which now everybody wants to follow now, the non-Muslims even say that. Those who are now what? In the fasting, and they discover now fasting is so beneficial to the end of it, they even say not to break your fast like that. Do not break your fast with regular food. So, you have the Messenger of Allah who already told you that. Then the non-Muslims who are professionals that tell you don't break your fast like that. So who are you going to listen to now? Is it clear, everyone? That's the reason why the majority of those who observe this sunnah and break their fast gradually, the slow process way, they still have energy usually to pray Isha and to pray Taraweeh and to focus in their worship. Is it clear, everyone? So that's a fair I want everyone to realize. You'll find that Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentions that in his book. In this regard, he was talking about this. He said, usually people break fast upon regular food. It's immediately after they break their fast, they usually start getting indigestion. They start to feel tired. And those who now do not follow this particular sunnah, this is what usually happens. They're not able to get up and be active when they can continue to do their worship. He said, well, the human body was made to gradually break it slowly. Then after you've eaten and you prayed Maghrib, then go and eat your food. It's a gradual process. But to now pile all that heavy food upon immediately as you break your fast is in opposition against the sunnah. And you see the results of it, how tired you feel, when you feel very lethargic, when you want to now perform worship when it's the time to do so. Is it clear, everyone? We'll talk about those affairs after. Nutrition is very important, right, everyone? Inshallah, if I have a health class, I will teach that too, to teach the people how to eat. In which a lot of people these days do not know how to do properly. They do not know how to eat properly. La ilaha illallah for this country, man. This country is very satanic. But anyway, for what we say in this regard, is it clear, everyone? طيب. So what we say upon that, then the great Imam, we've mentioned some of the narrations already, we mentioned some of them. It says, on the authority of Salman ibn Amir al-Dabbi, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من وجد التمر فليفطر عليه ومن لم يجد التمر فليفطر على ماء فإن الماء طهور. Whoever finds tamar, then let him break his fast upon it. Whoever does not find it, then let him break his fast upon water. For verily it is tahur, it is pure. Fine. Will you find of what has been established, the authentic sunnah? Also, during the day, you'll find that the great Imam Haafiz Al Hakamee that he said that the da'wah of the one who's fasting, of course, is not rejected. For the one who invokes Allah, makes dua during the day while they're fasting. It's also the affair that one should do. Even though there's some narrations that are weak in that regard, of saying it right at the time when you're supposed to break your fast or whatever. However, what has been generalized throughout the whole day is where one should take the advantage of making dua during the day of Ramadan while they're fasting. Generally. This not specifically of what some Ahl Ilm say is da'if in regards to the time when you break your fast to make dua, meaning right at the time of Maghrib. That one makes dua at that specific time. Some Ahl Ilm say those narrations are weak. However, generally, the narrations that comes in regards to during the whole day, not just specifically at the time of iftar, but throughout the whole day, that's been established. It's been established. That affair pertaining to what? Where the Messenger of Allah ﷺ had mentioned and said, ثَلَاثَةٌ لَا تُرَدُّ دَعْوَتُهُمْ الْإِمَامُ الْعَادِلِ وَالصَّائِمُ حَتَّى يُفْطِرُ وَدَعْوَةُ الْمَظْلُومِ يرفعه الله فوق الغمام حتى يرفع ودعوة المظلوم تفتح يرفع الله فوق الغمام ويفتح لها أبواب السماوات حتى يفتح لها أبواب السماء فيقول لا أنصرنك ولو بعد حين. That's the narration. He says the three in which their invocation is not rejected: the righteous or the just ruler or leader. The just ruler or leader. وَالصَّائِمُ حَتَّى يُفْطِرُ, the one who's fasting until they break it. وَدَعْوَةُ الْمَظْلُومِ, and the invocation of the one who's oppressed. يَرْفَعُهُ اللَّهُ فَوْقَ الْغَمَامِ وَيَفْتَحُ لَهَا أَبْوَابَ السَّمَاءِ فَيَقُولُ وَعِزَّتِي لَأَنْصُرَنَّكِ وَلَوْ بَعْدَ حِينٍ. He says, in the invocation of the one who's oppressed, Allah will raise it above the clouds. And He will open for it the doors of the heavens and say, by my izzah, by my sublimity or by my might, I will aid you even if it's after a little time. Even after a little while, I will aid you. For those affairs you'll find it's been clearly established in the Sunnah that it is a very virtuous time where one should take the initiative and take the time to invoke Allah Ta'ala while they're fasting during those days. Because we know the days of Ramadan are what? Very virtuous days. They are the virtuous days. Are they the virtuous days of the year? Are they? But they do have in it within what? The virtuous nights. But not the virtuous what? The virtuous days are when, everyone? First 10 days of the Hijjah. Ahsantum. First 10 days of the Hijjah. However, Ramadan we have the most what? The most virtuous nights. Especially during the last 10 nights, which is the what? The nights which is in it of Laylatul Qadr, which is another affair we'll speak about on a later occasion. So you'll find that the great Imam that he said about those particular virtues, he says, وَقَدْ نَهَا excuse me, I'm sorry everyone. وَسُنَّ فِطْرُ عَلَى التَّمْرِ إِذَا كَانَ وَإِلَّا الْمَاءَ طَهُورُ فَخُذَا. I'll say the full poetry, he says clear, completely. He says, وَسُنَّ فِطْرُهُ عَلَى التَّمْرِ إِذَا كَانَ وَإِلَّا الْمَاءَ طَهُورُ فَخُذَا وَسُنَّ فِي الْفِطْرِ الدُّعَاءُ بِمَا وَرَدَ إِذْ دَعْوَةُ الصَّائِمِ فِيهِ لَا تُرَدْ. So I didn't mention this said in the poetry, we already discussed it. It said, what has been established in the Sunnah to want to break their fast upon dates. And if they do not find it, then upon water, and it will be what? Pure. So take that sunnah. Then it says in the narration, and it's been also in the authentic sunnah established, that when one hastens to break it, that they should what? Make dua of what has come, even though we mentioned and said that the whole day is considered what? A time for dua. From while one is what? While they or he or she is what? Fasting. He says, hence, the invocation of one who's fasting is not what? It's not rejected. Then he says in his poetry, the great Imam Haafiz Al Hakamee says, وَقَدْ نَهَى النَّبِيُّ عَنِ الْوِصَالِ أي صوم الأيام مع الليالي مع فعله له لا لرحمته ذا النهي لكن رحمة بالأمة. That he says. The message of Allah that He prohibited that one continue their fast consecutive days without stopping it. Fasting the days with what? Sawm al-ayyam ma'al-layali. Continuing to fast consecutively. Not stopping, not breaking it. Even though the Messenger of Allah did it, not for what? Not to be merciful. He did it. Not for the mercy for the ummah. But He did do it to teach them a lesson as the narration comes. He wanted to teach them a lesson. He said, none of you are like me. So Messenger of Allah, you continue to do it. He said, none of you like me. One narration says, my Lord feeds me and gives me drink. Another narration says, Ana lastu kahayatikum. I am not like you as far as in certain affairs in which Allah has preferred me. Meaning that's from my khasa'is, from my characteristics, which Allah has given me of those specific privileges which none of human beings have been given. He said when they wanted to continue to do it, the message of Allah continue to teach them a lesson that you can't handle it. So he said, you don't do it. Which brings us to the narration where it says, in which the great Imam Ahmad was way back there speaking on the phone. وذهب الإمام أحمد وإسحاق ورجح ابن القيم وشهد له أعد الأقوام والتفصيل. And this is the strongest opinion in this regard as far as in continuing to fast consecutively or consecutive nights and days. This is the what? This is the strongest opinion in this regard of what we bring in it of details. What Imam Ahmad mentioned, and what this was the position of the great Imam Ahmad and his Shaykh Ishaq ibn Ibrahim al-Hamdali al-Mashhur bihu ibn Rahawayh. As we already discussed this in Sahih Muslim, you should know these names. Ishaq ibn Ibrahim ibn who? Ishaq ibn who? Ishaq ibn Ibrahim. Ishaq ibn Madkhalee. Ishaq ibn Khalid ibn Ibrahim. No, I'm right. Ishaq ibn Ibrahim, the one who's known as Ibn Rahawayh al-Hamdali, who was the Shaykh of Imam Ahmad, the great Imam. And also what Ibn al-Qayyim that I also mentioned, said that the affair of what we say is in it details. He says that the message of Allah, they say, إِنَّهُ جَائِزِ إِلَى السَّحَرِ. He said that it's permissible for one to continue all the way up to the what? All the way up to the time of Fajr, of the next day, even though what is what? What is more befitting that he should leave it off in order to attain the other benefit of hastening towards breaking the fast, in which the message of Allah highly encouraged that one do. But there is a narration that what? That the Prophet ﷺ did give an exception if they wanted to continue, which is in the Bukhari. When the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he said, لا تواصلوا وأيكم أراد أن يواصل فليواصل إلى السحر. He said, do not continue your fast, where it's become consecutive or continuous. He said, for verily, if one of you, if you wanted to do that, then let him continue to sahar, meaning up to the time of Fajr, and that's it. But you'll find that al-ilm still say that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ still discouraged one from doing that, and that you should attain the benefit by seeking the affair of the other bounty that he said, which is hasten towards breaking the fast during the time of Maghrib. And that is more what? Befitting. That is more befitting than continuing to break your fast all the way up to the time of Fajr for the following what? For the following day. Is it clear, everyone? So that's the affair which is the strongest opinion, and we'll stop there. I'll see you tomorrow. Or I'll see you next week. Inshallah. إن متعنا الله وإياكم بالصحة والعافية سأراكم الأسبوع القادم إن شاء الله الخميس القادم والثلاثاء القادم والخميس القادم إن شاء الله. طيب ونكتفي بهذا القدر. We'll suffice with this. Is there any question about the lesson? It's 9:20. I didn't even know it was 9:00. So we finished the lines of poetry. We'll continue the next week. Is there any questions about the lesson?
Have you ever seen or in the stores any rutba dates here?
I haven't seen any rutab here.
Yeah.
If you find it, let me know. Because I've been looking for years for rutab. Years. So if anybody finds those moist dates that we're speaking about, let me know. Especially in the Middle Eastern markets. See if you can find it. I have yet to find it. I haven't seen any of myself either. I don't see how they're going to send it from overseas unless they put it in dry ice packages.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can see them sending it from overseas.
They grow some in California as well.
Rutab?
Yeah. No, tamr in general.
Oh yeah, I know about that. I'm talking about rutab. The little date, the moist dates, small ones, that's frozen.
I'm thinking if it was any type of possibility, it might be coming from something domestic more than...
Probably. And I hate domestic tamr.
Yeah, I mean...
Anything else? I do not like domestic dates from America. Tayyip, anything else? Yeah, I don't like them from America. I like it from overseas, from the Middle East, from Medina. Nothing about the lesson? The lesson was clear? كل شيء اتضح. ما كان هناك اشكال عليكم شيء اثناء الدرس اخبرني. دائما انا اراكم تريدون تتكلموا معي في العربيه ولكنني عندما اكلمكم اما انتم لا تردون علي باي كلمه. ولكن ان شاء الله باذن الله اتيح لكم فرصه. ان متعنا الله واياكم بالصحه والعافيه. بس نكتفي بهذا القدر ان شاء الله. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.